One extra.
Gray's into the penalty. It's Andre Gray! Andre Gray!
The reason you're here is not to talk about football, but it's actually to talk about this incredible tattoo that you've got. You know, how long did this take in its entirety to do? Because there's so much detail in it.
It didn't take too long. It was probably around 6 months, and it'd go from probably twice a month or once a month. Usually 2 days in a row, 6 to 8 hours every day. A lot of hours lying on my front.
How did you play football around this? Because it's sore after you have it done.
No, I just got used to it. I've obviously got my arms done and my chest and stuff, so as long as the ball didn't smack me clean in the back, then I would have been all right.
You done a lot of research, didn't you, for this? It wasn't just like you plucked people out of obscurity. You're somebody who researched a lot of black history.
So a lot of thought went behind it. In terms of school and stuff like that, we never got taught anything about black history, especially as it's a massive part of my culture, and at the same time I didn't want to just get people on my back that I didn't understand and didn't know nothing about.
Do you think that black history should be taught in schools now? Do you think that should be compulsory?
Yeah, but I think it needs to be channeled the right way, because I remember when I first watched Roots, which is a series about slavery and stuff, it made me angry.
Kunta.
We have been chained in the white man's canoe house for many days now. All I see.
You don't want for them to turn to hate themselves and hate other kids because of what happened with them. Growing up, I think a lot of things are hidden away from you. Sometimes, I don't know if parents that think that some things are better just left to not be spoken about, but I only learned about it a few years ago. Doing that research and going into it deeply, it really opened my eyes.
I saw them treat me like a slave, got me black. Boy, me feel one heap of pain, got me black.
It started with the Muhammad Ali tattoo.
Why do you insist on being called Muhammad Ali now?
That's my original name. That's a black man name. Cassius Clay was my slave name. I'm no longer a slave.
I think it's courage and determination to go against the odds and the stereotypical way of things.
Dun, 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 I'm standing so proud. Dun, 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 dun. And I done whooped the world for America. Dun, dun, dun.
And to be cocky and to be outspoken where we were taught not to.
And I went downtown that day, had my big old medal on, and went in the restaurants. At that time, black things wasn't integrated. The black folks couldn't eat downtown. And I went downtown, I sat down. Lady said, "We don't serve Negroes." I was so mad. I said, "I don't eat them either. Just give me a couple of hamburgers."
And obviously just the way he overcome all his doubters and went against everything and defied it all.
Just wanted to go medal and couldn't eat downtown. I said, something's wrong. And from then on, I've been a Muslim.
One of the most powerful, and in many ways the most perplexing movements in the United States of America, the black Muslims.
Malcolm X mentored Muhammad Ali and, you know, brought him into the circle.
Can I first of all clear up your name? Was it in fact Malcolm Little?
Little was the name of the man who formerly owned my grandfather as a slave, so I gave it back.
So do people now address you as Mr. X?
Mr. X, Malcolm X.
I think it was the way he self-educated himself in prison. Obviously he turned to Islam and fought for peace.
By whatever means is necessary to bring about complete respect and recognition of the 22 million black people in America as human beings, that's what we're for.
There was a lot that went on, not just with the race fight, it was within his own community. So for him to bring Muhammad Ali and to go and fight for justice and to fight for equality, it was a big deal.
We need an organization that no one downtown loves. We need one that's ready and willing to take action by any means necessary.
Sometimes it became violent, but at the same time they had to fight back and they couldn't just stand there and bow down. And him going against what everyone thought was the way to handle things, he ultimately got him killed as well.
When a nonviolent movement starts, when the oppressed people rise up against their oppression, the initial reaction of the oppressor is to respond with anger.
Martin Luther King is probably one of the most famous, most prominent black activists there has ever been.
Victory in Birmingham would mean a great deal in breaking down the barriers of segregation all over the South.
Yeah, exactly. There's a reason for why they were assassinated. They obviously became too powerful and unable to control.
What do you want?
The growing numbers of clergymen who've come from all over the United States in answer to Martin Luther King's appeal for help.
Just imagine the power that Martin Luther King could have had if something like social media was around when, you know, what they were doing was happening. You know, just imagine how they could spread the word. It would be incredible to see.
Yeah, exactly. And you've seen the influence they had without any technology at all, just through word of mouth and speeches on live television.
I think it is the largest number of white people that we've ever had in any movement in the South. It reveals to me that we may be nearer the day of bringing about a truly integrated society.
The spirit of solidarity with our cause was visible, and we could cut it with a knife. This is what gave us the hope that one day we would return.
I can remember when Nelson Mandela passed away, there was an outpouring. How has he impacted your life?
His courage to do 27 years in prison, and the way he coped and bettered himself in there and educated himself to then come out and influence a country the way he did and change things for all his people is inspirational.
One is grateful, although it was a tragedy, that you had the opportunity to lead another life and to be able to stand back from you and your work and to look at it from a distance and be able to evaluate your work and the mistakes that you made. It offered us that opportunity. It benefited not only me, but others as well.
Fellow citizens of Africa, the Universal Negro Improvement Association is an organization that seeks to unite the 400 million Negroes of the world for the purpose of bettering our industrial, commercial, educational, social, and political conditions.
Marcus Garvey, why did Marcus make it onto your back?
A lot of people don't really know about him. You always see the Mandela, Malcolm X and Luther King and so on, but all these people were influenced by him and what he did with building ships and trying to get people back to his native country and bring them back was a big thing, and obviously that's why I got the ship on there as well, because that's what that represents.
This music will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and find its right people as it gets bigger.
So you've got a musical icon on your back.
Yeah, Bob Marley.
Understand? It shall grow. There's no end to this music, bro. Get up, stand up for your right.
To be honest, I think he's self-explanatory with the influence he had on music and how big he was around the world, not just in Jamaica.
Get up, stand up. Did you hear? Stand up for your right one more time.
Being from there and having family from there, it meant a lot as well.
Don't give up the fight.
His look on life is very inspirational as well, and his views on a lot of things were something that a lot of people believe in, including myself.
I think if there was any one point in the civil rights movement that started in the 50s, you can pinpoint it to the Montgomery bus boycott.
For refusing to give up her seat to a white man, she was arrested and fined, and the Negro people of Montgomery have refused to ride the buses ever since.
I did this because this type of thing we had to endure as a people because of our race. It did not seem right, it wasn't right, and I felt that I was being mistreated.
Is it important to have representation of a woman on your back as well, as opposed to just it being male-dominated?
Yeah, of course, because there is female activists. Obviously, the male ones were probably the face of it more, but then she did make a massive stand and make a big change.
For about 3 years, the Black Panthers have used Huey Newton's name for a rallying cry.
It wasn't a question of morality, it wasn't a question of being good or bad, it was simply a question of power. And the weak black people had no power. We had to have some power. The only type of power we could have is black power.
Tommy Smith and John Carlos, the two great American Negro sprinters, give the Black Power salute as they receive their medals after the 200 meters final. They said they did it to show black people are united.
It's an iconic pose and an iconic picture.
We used this so the whole world could see the poverty of the black man in America.
At the same time, cynics might say that you've got it all. You've got publicity, you've got medals, you've got martyrdom as well. What are you going to say to that?
I can't eat that, and the kids around my block, they grew up with me, they can't eat it. They can't eat gold medals, as Tommy Smith said. All we ask for is equal chance to be a human being.
I made a point of making sure that the guy next to them on the podium, Peter Norman, the Australian sprinter, was on there as well, because he obviously stood up there and took a stand with them as well and wore the badge. He never raced for Australia again.
It's a wrong that will be put right in tonight's parliamentary apology.
In 1968, Peter Norman made a bold stand for racial equality.
It shows a lot of courage from him to do that and what he believes in.
Could you imagine something like that having such a detrimental effect on your career just because you support a black person?
It's crazy for you to say that, because I think it's happening still now in the NFL.
Quarterback Colin Kaepernick says he did the right thing when he sat out the national anthem.
But I think if a white person stood with him as well and kept doing it, then the same thing would happen to him now in this day and age.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed.
Pray for me, take my pain for me, save my soul for me, 'cause I'm alone to see. If I'm gonna die for you, if I'm gonna kill for you, then I spill this blood for you. Hey.
Obviously, I feel like I'll take the knee as well. But this is the problem, where they're ready to rip up your contract for making a stand in something that you believe in.
We have cops that are murdering people. We have cops in the SFPD that are blatantly racist. And those issues need to be addressed.
Losing his job and his well-being through it, and to do that and go against the president as well.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired.
Obviously, they try and come up with reasons as to why he hasn't got a team.
5 a.m., 5 days a week, for 3 years, still ready.
I think we all know what the real issue is, and obviously that's racism.
At the moment in sport, it's a difficult time, because even in football in the UK, actual football, let's call it that, the problems are still there in the terraces and, on the pitch and stuff like that. It still happens, right, in the UK?
Yeah, it does, and it's down to ignorance. It shouldn't still be there, but people seem to be a product of their environment still, and still feel the need that they can use them words to get to people. But nothing gets done about it, and that's the problem. But all we can do is, as ethnic people, is to stand together and stand strong and keep speaking up.
Part of the reason why these people have made it onto your back is because they're trailblazers. These are people who have had so much courage in a position that they're in. We've mentioned Kaepernick. Maybe he could be a contender to make it onto the tattoo. Is there anyone else that springs to mind?
I really respect what Meek Mill's doing. I watched his documentary the other day and seeing how the justice system has treated him and how it treats young black people nowadays.
How does it feel to be part of the system? I feel like a free slave,
How him and Jay-Z have formed a justice reform to help the black kids and the ones that are suffering, because poor people in everywhere in the world, they've got no leg to stand on.
I like the kids that follow me to be on, money being on, taking care of their family.
I think a lot of things are unseen, but they're seen online through the videos on the phones of police brutality still going on.
We're all prisoners to this, because until everyone's free, no one's free.
Jay-Z is a legend. I think everyone's seen how he helped Meek Mill, and he's such a powerful person now that he's using it to his advantage and the way he's helping other people.
Gentrify your own hood before these people do it. Claim eminent domain and have your people moving. That's a small glimpse into what Nipsey was doing. For anybody still confused as to what he was doing.
Nipsey also really respected what he did.
And rooted in this community since day one.
I'm being honest, I didn't know too much about him. I used to listen to him, but I didn't know the things he used to do outside of his music until he passed away, which is unfortunate.
It just brings some color, to a place where all the kids gonna be every day, surrounded by art. I think it's good for the brain. I think it's good for the spirit.
I'm prolific, so gifted. I'm the type that's gon' go get it. No kidding.
He's actually trying to change the community, bring jobs, help people.
What Nipsey did was giving people back and fighting for his people.
Yesterday it was Nipsey, every other day it's somebody else. And we gotta do better.
Grief is the final act of love. I love you beyond this earth. And until we meet again, the marathon continues.
control, make sure that it ends well. Even when the brother's looking fresher than Denzel.
I really respect what Stormzy's doing as well. I think speaking out on politicians and the way they've handled the situation, especially with Grenfell Tower.
Like, yo, Theresa May, where's the money for Grenfell? What, you thought we just forgot about Grenfell, you criminals? And you got the cheek to call us savages. You should do some jail time, you should pay some damages.
There's obviously deeper meanings to it. It's not just young black kids causing trouble in the streets. There's a deeper meaning to it.
So we've touched on so many of these inspirational characters that you've got on your back. Is there a common trait that links them all that you want to kind of use in your life to inspire people as a sports person and somebody who's got quite a big following?
Every one of them's got something that I aspire to be. I take things off people, I listen more than I speak, and the people that are on my back are something that I would inspire to be and do every day, to become a better person, to educate myself, to take a stand for what I believe in, and to treat everyone the same and don't discriminate. That's a big part of me growing up in the last few years, and it shaped me towards the man I am now.
If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to keep up to date. For more great audio and video from the BBC, listen on Sounds, watch on iPlayer.